Hi folks, and welcome to today's video, my herniated disc story, the early stages stretching and mobility routine. Now, if you've been following along to my channel, I am basically documenting, relaying to you my journey with a herniated lumbar disc and the things that I've been doing to bring myself back to full 100% health and being pain-free. So, first time here, you've got this issue, subscribe for great content to get you back on the road to pain-free recovery. Today I'm going to be diving into the stretches, mobility type work I was doing in the early stages to bring myself back to where I am today, probably 99% healthy and pain-free. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. So folks, today I want to detail some of the stretches, mobility work I was doing, which I'm still doing during my recovery journey from a lumbar herniated disc. Now, first time here, let me give you a little bit of backstory. I originally herniated my L5-S1, had some bulging discs above as well, back in 2005, okay, almost 20 years ago. Rehabbed it myself, had 19 years of being pain-free. I got a bit too greedy with the deadlift last year. I was doing some exercises I probably shouldn't have been. Looking back, I should have been more critical about what I was choosing to do. And I re-injured the same disc. I got a MRI this year, February 2025. It did show L5-S1 was herniated, touched on my sciatica nerve, so I did have quite excruciating sciatica nerve pain. I have L2, L3, L3, L4 bulging discs as well. So I was getting some femoral nerve pain. I was getting some like Iliopsoas pain as well. And it was really bad at some stages, but I used the same rehab plan that I did before, stretches, decompression work, etc. And I've brought myself back to being about 99% pain-free. Still got some lingering sciatica. It's more about my job these days. I sit a lot more than I used to, but it is getting better week by week, month by month, okay? A couple of things. If you are older, because my first injury, I was under 35, it was a much quicker recovery. I would say 12 to 14 months, I was completely pain-free of sciatica, and I was lifting normally at 14 months, meaning deadlift, squat, etc., etc. Not maximal, you know, it's more kind of like 6, 8, 10 rep ranges. And then from 18 months onwards, I was back to doing, you know, PRs, 1RMs, etc., etc. This time around, I was 50, quite well last year, so yeah, 50, 51 this September. After 35, 40 especially, nerve regeneration takes a lot longer, healing takes a lot longer. So I knew I was in for a much longer path, okay? But I went through pretty much the same protocol, probably a bit more, I know more, of course, at this stage, so a little bit more advanced. There were some problems where if you look at the video a couple of weeks ago, you'll see that I had a big travel schedule for the first couple of months. So it was much harder for me to get on top of the rehab. However, today I want to go over some of those exercises, specifically stretches, mobility, that I was doing to help me, right? Now, you may come across people who say, oh, you know, stretching doesn't do anything. You know, it's just, you know, it's useless, it's pointless, okay? There is a point behind it, right? I always say there's no such thing as a bad exercise, only bad application. Now, the stretches I'm going to show you today, they are myofascial stretches, which is a little bit different than your classic muscular stretch, okay? The fascia itself, it's all over our whole body. The largest density is in the lumbar region, okay? And that fascia is connected from your toes, to your calves, to your knees, to your fingers, all the way through your body. So I was trying to release the fascia to let my body move more smoothly. And the reason for that was specifically around about my hips, okay? Because I want when I'm moving, walking, I want my hips to be moving without any undue stress on my lumbar spine, all right? So I'm taking each step. I don't want them to be pulling on my sacrum. I don't want them to be agitating my back pain. So I want things to be mobile and loose in this region, okay? Not hyper flexible. Technically, you only need as much flexibility as you need for your daily life. So a gymnast, for example, needs a lot more than, you know, a regular worker in an office, for example. It's down to your own individual needs. However, when you're dealing with a back issue, if you are tight through your hips, for example, you might want to get them loosened up a little bit more to allow you to move more freely, because with back rehab, walking is generally recommended, you know, potentially upright cycling in the gym, potentially swimming, plus rehabilitation exercises. When you contract a muscle, okay, multiple times, those muscle fibers get a little bit closer together. You want to kind of stretch them back out again so you've got that same mobility or greater mobility, right? So there is a purpose to doing some stretches and mobility to keep things moving, keep the blood flow going, because the disc itself has no direct blood supply. Therefore, you need to create blood supply around it because it gets its nutrients through an osmotic effect with the liquids transfer across the cell membranes, okay? So sitting, doing nothing is not the best way to rehab. You have to move as much as you can, all right? Now, the thing about flexibility and mobility is it is very different for individual body types. You may have heard of somatotyping, like tall, like sort of narrow-shouldered people, short, squat people, and then you get people who've got like, sort of narrow hips, broad shoulders, long limbs, etc., different things. All those different somatotypes have different propensities for longer, shorter muscle bellies, generally potentially tighter. You may have heard of something called Celtic hip or Scottish hip versus what's called Slavic hip. Okay, and it's to do with the hip socket design, and this basically will depend on what you're born with. Basically, you might not be able to squat very deep. You might not be able to do, you'll never be able to do the splits, for example. So there's a lot of factors at play in regarding how you're made up, like your bone structure, okay, ligament length, etc., tendon insertions, how strong you're going to be, how flexible you're going to be, all right? So when somebody says, no, you should not do that, or no, you should be able to do this, okay? Some person on the internet says you should be able to go ATG, ass to grass, pardon my French, squats, okay? You're just not flexible and mobile enough. That's not necessarily true. It's all down to your individual hip structure, knee structure, ankle mobility. There's many, many things at play. Okay, it's very multifactorial. So just be aware that if somebody says you should be able to do this, it's not exactly true. All right. So the cat's going to walk into picture in just a second, I think. No, the cat has just avoided the camera. Good. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be showing you a stretch, which is for the top part of the hip here. This is the rectus femoris. So I'll still do this stretch. And I was doing it sort of after when the injury sort of occurred, when I could start to rehab, because I'm trying to sort of loosen up the front part of my hips, okay, especially the Iliopsoas region, because we tend to sit a lot more than we used to back in the day. When we sit, this Iliopsoas region shortens, and then when we stand up, it pulls, and it pulls on our lumbar spine, because that's where the origin of that particular muscle group is, okay? So now, I've got a lot of these videos in different stretches, so some of these I'll run through a little bit more like quicker than I normally would, okay? But I will link in the description below to the more specifics and direct links to those stretches as well, okay? Cat's gonna come and say hello and just run past. It's a cat we've adopted since we moved here. She doesn't like the camera, obviously. All right, so I'm gonna be doing my right rectus femoris muscle here. So I'm going to do this by getting to what's called a serving knight position. Okay, so I've got like sort of this wide, broad stance. Now, if you've got sore knees, bad knees, you may want to double up the mat on this, all right, just to give you more support for the knee, maybe a couple of cushions or pillows, as much as you need. You're going to reach around and take that back leg. Now you can use this hand for support here, take the back leg, and I'm going to bring that toe up towards my buttocks here. At the same time, I'm going to squeeze my buttocks and do what's called a posterior pelvic tilt to tilt my pelvis under. When I do that, what's happening is when I pull the pelvis under, I'm pulling the front back, and it's engaging this rectus femoris here. This is the fascial stretch, okay? Now I'm going to actually double up the mat because I'm on a hard surface here, so I'm going to double up here just to make it a bit easier for me. Get rid of that small stone. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to reach around, clasp here, take it, stabilize, squeeze my glutes, and I'll really feel a deep stretch in the front part of my rectus femoris here. And you want to hold this for approximately 30 seconds, okay? Then you relax out of it, then you change and do the other side, okay? Now I was doing these twice on each side, then I was moving to the hip flexor, the iliopsoas fascia. And for that similar position, I will show you from the front and from the side. So it's a wide serving knight position, and I'm going to be doing my right iliopsoas. To stretch this effectively, I want to rotate my femur in, okay? So I kick out the back leg there, kick it out, okay? That's the start finish position. Then I'm going to squeeze my glutes under here. That engages, again, it pulls the anterior portion of my pelvis backwards. My knee is solid on the ground, so I'm getting that stretch through this front part of my hip. Now you can increase your stretch by bringing the arms in front, rotating the fingers down and driving my arms forward. Head, crown, nice and tall. Okay, I'll show you from the side, don't worry. Push, push, push here like this, push my hands away, squeezing my glutes under. Now from the side, it looks like this. I would kick the leg out to the side, squeeze the glutes, turn that stretch on here, tuck my chin in, nice and tall, push my arms away, squeeze glutes, feeling the deep, deep stretch in my Iliopsoas hip flexor. Hold that for 30 seconds, change, other side, 2 times through, okay? Now, I would typically be doing my stretching. I was doing it about 3-4 days a week. Between those days, I was doing my recovery workouts, rehabilitation, which last week's video, I was showing you some exercises I was doing. Okay, and I would go from this, so I've done the kind of the front part of my hip here. Then I was moving to the inside portion into what we call the adductors here. And I was doing this in a, like I'd do my rectus femoris first, I would do my iliopsoas, then I would move to my adductors here, then I'd move to the glutes, okay? So the adductors, there was actually a paper on this that were helping sort of doing adductor stretching. There was actually a decrease in sciatica nerve pain. So there is some inference in the literature to say that, you know, stretching and elongating this region here will help to alleviate some of that sciatica nerve pain. For me, it was more about trying to keep the mobility in my hips, okay? And it did give me some relief in sciatica nerve pain, but I just knew after being, walking 10, 12,000 steps that day, I was trying to get my tissues sort of back, okay, to where they were before I started walking, right? Keep everything nice and loose. So for the adductor stretch, I'll show you from different angles. You move the knees as wide as you can go. Okay, here. My ankles are in line with my knee. I will show you from a different angle. I'll show you from the side here. Just a little bit on, like so, okay. My hands were placed under my chest. I didn't let my head dip. I pulled my head back. And then I would rotate, I would sort of not arch my back, but I would squeeze my glutes under. And as soon as I squeezed my glutes, that would bring in, I could feel the engagement of the inside of my adductors there, and I would hold that for 30 seconds. Then I'd relax. So just come out of it, bring my heels together, come out of it for a few seconds, maybe 5 seconds. Then I would go back forward again. Again, knees as wide as I could go, and as for you, as wide as you can individually go. Okay. Position myself here, hands under my chest, squeeze the glutes, bring that stretch on, hold 30 seconds, and then relax. Then I move on to the glutes. Now, the glutes again, this is the big connection between lower body and the posterior chain up into the lower back region. So again, we sit a lot, we compress the sciatica nerve when we sit. I was trying to open up the fascia in the glute region. So I'll show you 2. One is for more glute medius, and then the other one is going to be for glute maximus. So I'm sitting nice and tall like this. I'm going to stretch my left glute medius first. I'm going to move my right leg a little bit out to the side. I'm going to bring my left leg across my midline. Okay, beg your pardon, I'm going to stretch my, that way around, sorry. I'm going to bring my left leg across, right leg across the midline here. Straighten my right knee, pull my toes back towards my chest, towards me, towards my body, rotate my foot inwards, take hold of this left leg, and I'm going to pull this knee in towards my chest. Maintain the locked knee, maintain the toes back towards my chest, sit up nice and tall, head up, okay, and pull in like so. And I hold, and I feel that stretch in the side of my glute region. I do, okay. Maintaining this here, a little bit of rotation inward of the lower leg. Don't hold your breath, okay. Taking deep breaths. As you breathe out, try to pull a little bit more in towards your chest, like so. 30 seconds, then I was changing. So again, back to the center here. So right away, left over the middle, lock the knee, toe towards my chest, rotate the leg in, foot angled in, so not out, angled in. Take my right leg, and I'm going to pull it up towards my shoulder. This is still much tighter, my right side. That's where I have my sciatica nerve pain, is on the right side. Breathing, holding, and again it's 30 seconds, and I would relax, change sides, both sides, 30 seconds, okay? Now the last stretch I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to do a little small mobility move, and then I'm going to show you two decompression moves as well, okay? So we've got a lot more to go through, but if you're enjoying it so far, subscribe, okay? Hit the subscribe button, grow this channel. I do make a lot of great content for folks out there suffering with low back pain issues, sciatica nerve pain, stenosis, the disc issues, sciatica, all that kind of thing, lumbar arthritis. Get this content out there to a lot of people, and they will be thankful, I am sure, because I'm trying to help as many people out there in the world recover from these ailments, all right? So, moving on, glute max, okay? So, for this, we lay on our back, okay? And again, this will seem somewhat similar. Perhaps you've done this in rehab, but with the fascial side of it, it's a little bit different, okay? We need to sort of put the fascia into tension. So, if I'm going to do my right glute, okay, I bring my right ankle across my left knee. Then I bring it up. Okay, now the thing you want to do to sort of put in tension here is my right foot. I'll just turn to the camera so you can see. I want to bring my toes again back to my knee and rotate this foot out. So not in, but out. It puts in tension the fascia through here, through the tibial region, keeps this nice and tight. Okay, now to make sure the fascia is tight in my lower back, when I reach through here, I want to consciously pull my lower back onto the floor. Keep it tight. So when I pull up towards here like so, I don't let my back come off the floor, okay? I try to get the pelvis on the floor, and that keeps everything solid here. I've got solid tension here. It allows this to be stretched properly, the fascia, okay? So I'm holding like so. Now if I just release off this foot, I can just feel the tension drop completely. When I turn the foot on, boom, like this, I can feel the tension increase from my glutes. Now, the thing about fascial stretching is, you may feel it here, you may feel it here, okay? You're gonna feel it in the fascial connection where you are the most restricted, where you're most tight, all right? So don't worry, oh Colin, I don't get it here, I get it more here, I get it here, maybe even here. That's okay. You're gonna feel it where you have the most fascial tension, but that's okay, okay? The more times you do it, that will release, and then you'll start to feel it where you should be feeling it within the glutes itself. So again, I'll show you a different angle for the left side. Again, you'll do both sides, okay? Then you'll switch and you'll do 30 seconds on each side again. So here, the left one here, I rotate the foot out, okay? Hands, now it depends how flexible, how long your arms are, if you can go behind, I go over the top. This is my preferred position. And I make sure my back is pulled onto the floor, this sort of sacral part here, turn the toes out, and I hold, just like so. Now, I'm actually going to give you an extra little bonus in a second. It's for a gracilis muscle stroke fascial stretch. And relax, okay? 30 seconds. So 2 times. Now the next one is a little bit more difficult. But it is especially useful for keeping those hips nice and mobile. So here's what we're going to do. Again, you might want to double up the mat. My knee runs up through my hip, through that side of the shoulder, okay? We're going to be stretching this section in here, just at the side, okay, one of the adductors at the side here. When I move my leg out, the heel is in line with my knee. I pull the toe back towards my knee, and I lock my knee, and I think about driving my knee into the ground like so, okay? At the same time as I pull my toe towards me, and I try to rotate the foot out backwards, okay? As I do that, and I lock this leg here, and I drive my knee towards the ground, I start feeling tension coming in through here. That's what we want, okay? Nice and tall. If you want to add to the stretch, you can bring the arms in front, drive them forward like so. Very important, squeeze the glutes under, tuck the tail. As you tuck the tail, maintain the knee pressure towards the ground, okay? Hold, 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 30 seconds, relax out of it. Here, click, clack, click. It's my great knees. Other side, same thing. So, front part of my thigh is directly in line with the heel of this right foot, okay? Toes towards my knee, rotate the foot out. As I rotate, if I rotate in, I lose the tension here. I want to rotate the foot out, drive the knee towards the ground, okay? Squeeze my tail under, bring the hands up here. I don't need the hands because I can feel a lot of tension so far. Push, I'm pushing out towards the camera here, driving my knee down, and I get a lot of tension all the way through in this section here. Hold, 30 seconds, relax. Now the thing about these stretches is, what you want to make sure is when you put the stretch on, you actually start to the stretch. There is work required. It's not passive where I just go, I'm stretching my shoulder, okay? You actively have to engage the stretch and go into the stretch. Common mistakes, people drive too hard, okay? Oh, the stretch is good for me. I must do 110% power. No, you want to go into the stretch, feel the stretch come on and hold that, okay? Don't push it further, don't bounce it. The amount of people I see trying to do sometimes very stretches and they're like shaking and bouncing, okay? You have to take it back a few steps. Oh, I feel the stretch. Okay, I'm just gonna, yep, that's fine. Do that the first 3 or 4 sessions, the first week, week and a half, before you want to increase the power. And you increase the power gradually, okay? First session, you're getting used to it. Don't just jump into 100%, driving the stretches, okay? That second session, build it up gradually, because this is the thing people don't understand about lumbar disc herniation recovery. It requires graded incremental increases. And that goes for your exercises, stretches you're doing, the cardio type of walking you're doing. It's got to be graded, gentle inclination, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create the body to adapt, okay, to the stress, the tolerance you're placing upon it, okay. That takes time. It takes time for that body to adapt to that stress, and the healing process at the cellular level takes an extremely long time, okay. It was very easy for you to re-injure that region doing too much too soon because you happen to be pain-free, okay. So it's very good to do incremental graded exercises, all right? So hope that makes sense. Any questions though, hit me up in the comment section, all right? So now just a little bit, this is very gentle mobility, nothing crazy, okay? And this is mainly for the kind of hips, and there's also a little bit of lower back rotation, which I'm going to explain in just a second. So we're down like so, and I will show you from the front. So my hips, my feet are about, they're sort of maybe 1/2 outside my hips. I'm lying on my back, okay? And I'm on my heels, sorry. And I'm just gently gonna go one side and then gently to the other. Just like this, okay? Now this speed is very, very important. Now what's happening here, I'm getting a little bit of mobility, motion, movement in my hips and a little bit in the sacrum and the lower back, okay? Now, the lumbar spine doesn't have that much mobility as it is. That's purpose, okay? That's how we're designed. But what this helps to do is when the spinal segments rotate, okay, they actually get closer together, okay, because of the way the fibers connect each vertebra. They're basically angled at an angle. So when you have rotation, you actually have compression, okay? This is part of the reason golfers have quite a high rate of back injury, because they're doing high velocity rotation, extension movements. So it's like boom, boom, like this, right? So I think Tiger Woods had a lot of issues with his lower back, for example. So what we're doing in this position here is a very gentle rotation and decompression, gentle rotation. And this actually helps stimulate sort of collagen regeneration because of the speed we're going at and the lack of force, basically. Now you would just do, maybe, I did a lot more, but you would probably go for 20. So I would do like 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect, okay? Just helps a little bit of mobility. Now I'm going to show another mobility move in just a second, and then move on to 2 last decompression stretches for you. Now, as I said, with this, you saw the pace I was going at, okay? If there's pain when you do any of these exercises, stop, all right? A little bit of pain is okay, like just as the body is adapting. But if you're getting an upsurge in sciatica nerve pain, if something is like, spiking like a needle, like burning poker, stop, okay? Don't push yourself through the pain, all right? You have a little bit of achiness pain the next day, that's quite normal. Usually that will happen, and then the next day you feel much better, okay? And that's just the body reacting to what you've just done, okay? So with this particular move, 20 repetitions maximum is perfectly fine, okay? You just go as far as you comfortably can go. Don't force it all the way to the ground. Never force a stretch, never force an exercise, never force a mobility move, all right? Now, as far as the time of day when you should be doing these, I tend to tell people to do their stretching activity, that's mobility, later in the day, okay? Later, typically after work, maybe mid-afternoon, depending on their job, okay? Don't do it first thing in the morning. Please do not do it first thing in the morning, okay? There's a higher chance of injuring and re-injuring or aggravating the disc, all right? So ideal time would be after dinner, in the evening, when you're at home, in your lounge, okay, whatever, watching TV, Netflix, etc., Amazon. That would be a great time to do this kind of work, okay? As I said, I tend to tell my clients to do it separately from their workout day. So they've got their workout day and then their stretching day, workout day. So I keep the two apart, but it also means they're doing stuff every day or almost every day. Now the next one you may know as cat, cow, cat, camel. It's basically when you're on all fours like so. Now this, again, do not force this exercise, okay? We're here like so. We're going to go a little bit of gentle extension, and then we're going a little bit of flexion. And I tell people to move in a mid-range, what we call a mid-range. Like, now, I have very little lumbar lordosis. I have what's called flat back syndrome. So maximum lordosis for me is about here, which is like virtually nothing for most people, right? That's my maximum. Now, my maximum flexion is probably around about here at the moment, okay? When I tell people to do this exercise, I say go in your mid-range, okay? Don't force it into the extremes of flexion or the extremes of extension. Again, you should not feel pain when you do this. And again, you'll need to do maybe 12 to 15 movements in total. What this is doing is it's helping mobilize those lumbar joints, get synovial fluid into that region, okay? Before you start, getting up again and moving around. Just helps to maintain some flexion and extension movements in that lumbar spine. The lumbar spine is designed to flex forward, not under heavy loads, okay? But as I said to people, like, look, nature wasn't stupid. If it had built us that way, to not have a flex spine, it wouldn't have given us a flexed spine, right, to be able to flex, okay? So that is the one I would do. So I would do my stretching first, then I would do that mobility leg with the leg movements, then I would do my little sort of cat, cow, cat, camel exercise. Then I would finish it with some decompression. Now, the typical low back lumbar disc herniation site is L5S1. That's where predominantly the most lumbar herniations happen. That particular decompression stretch is very technical to teach, so I'm not going to do it on this video because that's like another 20 minutes, right? And you'll definitely turn off. So there'll be a link at the end of this video to that specific decompression stretch, okay? I'm going to show you two here just now. One for L4, L5, and one for L3, L4, okay? Now these were taught to me by a man called Dr. Guy, who developed a system of what's called ELDOA, which was a system of self-decompressive type fascial stretching. He did his research, he was taking x-rays pre and post decompression, and he was showing millimeters of movement. Decompression is theorized to help because it can help to kind of pull the disc material back in, take the pressure off of the sciatica nerve. That's the primary effect. However, the secondary effect, which is different from your normal decompression tail, which you find in many chiropractic practices, is because of the nature of the position you're in, and you're going to see in just a second, it helps to actually strengthen the small muscles around your spine. So it helps to keep your posture in a good, strong position, and it helps build endurance in the postural muscles that help maintain your spine rigid, which is especially important because for recovery purposes, we want to maintain a rigid spine. We want to sort of avoid instability in the spine. So as a secondary effect, these exercises help to kind of normalize that. All right. So you can Google Dr. Guy. There's a whole lot of different websites. You can Google ELDOA. It's like all over the place now. I did the courses back in 2003. I think I was exposed to it first, 2004. I started on the course 2005 in New York and did the whole series of different stretches and decompression work, and diaphragmic work, etc., etc. One of the first groups of people to do it in North America, but now it's become very, very expansive throughout the whole world. So first one is going to be L3, L4, and to create this decompression, we need opposing forces, okay? So if we say, for example, this is my elbow here, and I'm trying to sort of separate it. If I pull all in one direction, the whole thing goes that way. If I pull all in this direction, whole thing goes that way. I need enough force going that direction and that direction to effectively create space and decompress, decoapt, it's called, this joint, okay? So L3, L4 first, and I'll explain a little bit more about the different segments. Knees greater than 90 degrees, heels almost touching, toes back towards my knees, outside edges out, okay? That is the bottom position. We're going to push our knees towards the ground. Hands in front, fingers up, fingers rotate towards the ground. I bring them up here so they're externally rotated. Bicep close to the ear, and I'm going to push my arms high as I can, drive them up, my whole arm shoulder structure towards the ceiling. At the same time, I push my knee towards the ground, okay? Constant tension all of the time. I'm going to show you from the side, don't panic, all right? Don't do it just yet. Arms are going pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, knees pushing towards the ground. So if you've got a herniation at L3, L4, or even L4, L5, okay, this is especially important for you. Now from the side, so I've got the legs here, knees greater than 90, my outside foot is going towards the ground, so my ankle comes through, toes towards knees, arms come up, externally rotate my arms, tuck my chin in, and I drive up towards the ceiling. At the same time, I push my knees down. This is creating this opposite force. It's basically pulling on my lower fascia here. When I drive up, okay, and externally rotate my arms, I'm putting in tension in the latissimus dorsi fascia, which is pulling on the lumbar area, which is helping decompress that section and helping to stabilize my spine. Now, when you first do this, most of my clients will end up, they'll start in this position. They don't have the strength to get up here, okay? That will come with time. But a good way to practice is use a wall, okay? Just come back on the wall, like so, okay? And lightly have the shoulders touching it here, like so. And then I can press up, okay? And I can actively try to come off the wall, hold myself off the wall. And as you get better, what tends to happen, I see most clients, they will start here. Maybe this is like week 1, that's week 2, 3, 4. And before you know it, boom, they're like absolutely picture perfect, okay? Now, these particular decompression stretches are hard. I'm not gonna lie to you, you will sweat with these, okay? Because you're actively trying to create this pressure. So in the beginning, I always say to people, start with 50% power. So many people jump into 100% power because Colin said so. No, I didn't, okay? And, oh, my shoulder hurts. Oh, I aggravated my sciatica. Oh, this hurt me. You have to gradually go into it, okay? It's a time thing, right? You want to build up, like I said before, you build up the tolerance to this. Maybe you can only hold it for 10 seconds. That's perfectly fine, okay? You just do it one time in the day after you've done your stretching mobility. Try it once, okay? See how the body responds to it. The next time you try, maybe go for 20 seconds. Next time, maybe 30 seconds. But again, it's 50% power. You're building the power up week by week, 60, 70. So maybe at the end of the month, you're doing 100%, like really driving hard, okay? And pushing up and driving the knees towards the ground. That's going to give you that effective decompressive effect. Now, if your herniation is a bit lower, L4, L5, okay, I'm going to show you that now. Now, it's not much different. It is essentially, we've gone from the legs being, the knees being greater than 90. We're going to bring them now to 90 degrees. We change the feet a little bit to being roughly, it's about 8 to 10 inches apart, okay? It's roughly 20, 25 centimeters, give or take. Here, 90 at the knees, arms in the same position. I drive up towards the ceiling, push the knees towards the ground. Breathing, don't forget to breathe, okay? You push up, push up, push up, push up, knees towards the ground. Now again, it's difficult in that position, I know. So again, have a wall behind you to start with, to get used to that position. If you get some sort of shoulder impingement, okay, it's always your individual maximum. In that case, just bring the arms, if there's, impingement, some issues that, rotator cuff, you bring your arms down to where you don't have pain, and then you push, okay? You're still putting in tension in that region, all right? With time, you can try to bring it in a little bit closer if the shoulder allows, okay? But these stretches, these decompression stretches are always your individual maximum, all right? If you feel that it aggravates or worsens your pain, okay, as you're doing it, and the next day, okay, make a note of it. That's an amber flag, not red, amber flag, okay? So that's day 2, day 1, it's painful. Day 2, still painful. Day 3, if the pain subsides on day 3, okay, try them again, okay? So, okay, maybe it was just the body reacting. I want to test again to see, because like I tell everybody, I can't help 100% of the people 100% of the time. Some people react well to certain movements and exercises. Some people don't. Sometimes these types of exercises have to be brought in towards the end, not the start, okay? It very much depends on the person's sort of tissue tolerance, state of injury, etc., etc. But as I said, they are very, very effective at helping to stabilize the spine. I mean, you may think, oh, it looks very kind of yoga-esque, which it is to some degree, like some of the postures you go into, okay? So they do have a great secondary benefit of helping stabilize the spine. So try them, okay? Give them a try, 50% power, 10, 15 seconds, all right? And again, you're doing it most likely every second day where you're stretching and mobility, okay? If you get relief from these ELDOA decompression stretches, they can be done sort of 5 days, 6 days a week. The best time to do them, okay, is before you go to bed, to almost kind of set the spine in a good position before you go to sleep, all right? So yes, you can do the stretch and mobility maybe after dinner. If you want, you can break it up because you might be a bit tired from all the stretching and do the decompression, ELDOAs, before you go to sleep, right? And I'm talking brush your teeth, let the cat out, whatever, kids are in bed, right? You're in your PJs. Before you get into bed, you can do them then. Now, one very, very important point I must stress. Fascial tissue is approximately 90% water, okay? If you're not well hydrated, when you go to stretch that fascia, that tissue, it will be like pulling on a piece of leather. It's not going to like it. It's going to be irritated. So I would encourage you to increase your pure water intake. Not coffee, not tea, not Coca-Cola, right? Pure water, okay? And you can start simply with an extra 4-ounce bottle, it's about 250 milliliters of water a day, okay? Not every day compounded. I just mean, okay, this week I'm going to drink an extra 250 milliliters, okay, daily, right? And then next week maybe another 250, okay? So you add an extra half liter over 2 weeks. That'll give your bladder a chance to sort of get used to it, okay? And you won't be peeing all the time. I do recommend you drink the majority of your water before 6 p.m. in the evening if you want to be able to sleep without having to get up to pee 5 times, all right? I don't want you to get to the stage where it's 9 o'clock at night and you go, oh, I need to drink another half liter water, okay? Because then you will be up and down to the bathroom and you're going to be hating me, all right? So please ensure that if you're going to try these exercises, try these stretches, try this mobility stop type work, fascial stretching, you do increase your pure water intake, all right? Okay, guys, listen, this has been a very long video, but I wanted to detail the early stage stretches, stuff that I was doing. I still do pretty much all of these. I've got a few extra ones that I do just because of the sort of issues that I have. Okay, I've got reticulothesis as well in my spine. But I hope it's been useful. If you've got any comments, questions, whatever, please hit me up in the comment section down below. Feel free to reach out by email. If you've got more sort of personal, private questions you want to ask me, don't want to be public, I will definitely answer your emails as well. Please, of course, subscribe, share, okay, get this content out there to other people, like this video, all right? And next week, I'm going to be talking about the mental side, okay? Like my own mental struggles with this herniated disc issue and clients I speak to, a lot of their problems. I won't obviously mention names, but a lot of people don't understand that the mental side of this is immensely important. It's a huge, huge issue for a lot of people. And, coming to terms with the injury itself and, how debilitating it is or what it means for the future is immensely important, okay? So I'm going to cover kind of my journey, my thoughts, and hopefully help you guys out with some of that sort of type of thought process to how you get over this injury as well, all right? So make sure you subscribe and I'll be talking about that next week. Take care for now.